you ever called somebody a slut?
Yes. Yes, I have. Multiple times.
By which I mean, have you ever asserted that somebody is bad because they are open about their sexuality or have had sex with what you consider to be many people?
That's not how that word works. The definition of the word slut is a promiscuous woman. It's really that simple. They have much to do with morality. But as far as the whole have sex with lots of people, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much spot on. Yeah, that's what a slut is. So, but no, I've never called someone a slut to denote their sexual immorality or their morality. It's point of fact. It's you are a promiscuous woman.
In large parts of the world, if you have lots of sex or are open about expressing your sexuality, people might say that is morally bad, and it's probably more likely to happen if you're female. If males have lots of sex, people tend to think that's good.
Interestingly enough, by your tone, you imply as if you have no idea as to why that is. And I have explained several times, the answer is quite simple. To sum it all up, so we don't have to go to it in this video, a key that can unlock any lock is invaluable. But a lock that can be unlocked by any key is worthless.
And that's an example of what we call a double standard.
Well, you usually call something a double standard when the standards are equal or identical. And considering the fact that women have vastly more amounts of sexual power than men, I don't really know if we can call that a double standard anymore. Or maybe we can, I don't know. But I mean, in all actuality, when it comes to women being able to have sex and men having sex, it's not even a fair comparison. Like at all.
Doesn't it awfully nice to have a penis?
Not when you look at different incarceration rates and the amount of men who get attacked and killed on the streets, so.
Conversely, chastity is sometimes considered a virtue and a sign of moral integrity. It's even called innocence or purity, with the implication that to be not chaste is to be impure, which might be a vague idea, but is pretty obviously negative.
Briefly summarize as to why chastity is considered a virtue, the answer is, like I said before, getting sex for a woman is quite easy. It ain't much of a chore, because men like women because they are women. Now, because of this, if a woman has the ability to say no and hold herself out for someone that she deems worthy or special, it shows that she values herself on some level. The whole reason why chastity is a virtue is because being chaste is a hard thing to do for a woman, because she's constantly getting offers of dick all of the time everywhere she goes. If being a virgin, or if being chaste for a woman was something she was supposed to do, then it's not special. And if it's not special, then it defeats the purpose of doing it in the first place.
But why? What's bad about promiscuity, and what's good about chastity?
I'm sure those were rhetorical questions, but you have to be bafflingly ignorant to not understand that there are risks to being promiscuous, and that there aren't perks to being chaste. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Let's examine 5 arguments. Number 1, promiscuity is bad because it's risky. If you have lots of sexual partners, you increase your chances of getting a sexually transmitted infection. But saying it's bad because it's risky argues that an attribute of the thing is bad, not the thing itself.
And here we reach a gigantic problem with the first premise that you've just done. What you've done is conflated promiscuity with the act of sex. And those are two different things. Promiscuity is an abundance of sex, in excess of it, and anything done in excess is a bad thing. If you exercise too much, you don't give your muscles time enough to recover from the damage you did to them, and eventually you end up breaking down your muscles and you get really tired a lot easier because you never healed or recovered. Too much of anything is a bad thing. It's really simple, and that's what they're saying. Also, then there are the risks that are involved with promiscuity. Sex is a great thing, a wonderful thing that two people who like or love each other should indulge in to become more intimate. Considering that's the most intimate thing you do with another human being. Again, sex, promiscuity, two different things.
It would entail that if we could minimize the risk, it would no longer be bad. And we can minimize the risk by practicing safe sex and choosing our partners sensibly.
Unfortunately, and lots of people always say this, but they say safe sex is an amazing thing. Again, the unfortunate part about that is not a lot of people do it. Just take a look at the Maury Povich show for evidence of that.
But anyway, why should a risky thing be morally bad? Smoking is risky, driving is risky, crossing the street is risky. Nobody says those things are morally bad because of the risk.
Yeah, and again, interestingly enough, I don't hear a lot of people saying that promiscuity is morally bad. Sure, some people might say that, but I haven't heard them, so I could be wrong here. But from a social point of view, people argue that promiscuity is a bad thing. Kind of the same thing with smoking. Also, from a social point of view, people argue that drinking while driving is a bad thing. Now, of course, you didn't say drinking while driving. However, the point is that there are certain conditions that can happen within these situations that can make it good or bad, or something more riskier than the other. And the thing about driving is there are lots of different guidelines and rules and tests that you have to do in order to get your license to drive in the first place. When it comes to being promiscuous, all you have to do is just have a dick or a vagina. Well, actually, just have a vagina. It makes it vastly more easier for you to do that. So, yeah. Again, no one really argues from a moral point of view that it's bad. It's always thing from a social point of view.
Number 2, promiscuity is bad because if you practice it, other people will think less of you. The what will the neighbours say argument. But it's not much of an argument, this, because the whole question is, should those other people think less of you?
Well, depends, I guess. I would say, no, not really, but they should be wary and should have the ability to say, no, I don't want to date you because of your sexual history. Just saying.
Remember, if we're trying to find the truth, it doesn't matter how many people say something or who they happen to be, the only thing that matters is how good their reasons are. Would you think less of a sexual partner if they told you they'd had lots of previous partners?
Well, I certainly wouldn't think less of them. I would certainly be wary of them, considering the fact that there is a correlation between divorces and stable marriages and the amount of sexual partners a woman had before she got in there. So I would be pretty wary of it, and she'd have to prove that she is one trustworthy individual. She'd also have to prove that she could be one fantastic mother to my children. Otherwise, I don't really see a relationship between them and what's happening.
If so, why?
I just said it in the last clip.
Is it because you feel inadequate, like you wouldn't be as good as the others? Because it's okay to feel that way, that's fine. And you should talk to your partner about it and say, hey, how am I doing? I'm always keen to improve.
Interesting levels of passive aggressiveness there, my friend. However, here's something interesting about all that. You know, I say to my friends all the time that I intend on trying to marry a virgin or someone who has not had a lot of sex. Because, and I'll be honest with you, I do feel that I will be compared to all the other guys she had sex with. And I will be unfairly compared to these guys because I just have not had sex and I have zero experience. And there's no way I'll be able to compete with these guys because they had lots of sex before they had sex with her and I didn't. So I got nothing for her, unfortunately. And that does make me a little sad sometimes when I think about it. So I try not to think about it too much. However, the interesting part comes in when I chat with my friends and I say, well, I'll just marry this virgin here and we'll just practice together and everything will be fine because we'll talk about it and we'll like each other. And they always say to me that, one, finding a virginal girl is difficult, and two, they always say that women like men who are more experienced and she would end up cheating on me because I wouldn't be able to satisfy her, which is exactly why men don't like promiscuous women, by the way. I've also heard from several different women before who ended up being sluts, say that they don't have sex with virgins because they're not experienced and they don't want to have sex with men who aren't experienced. So there's pressure from both men and women saying that they're not big fans of men who are not experienced sexually. Now, it is indeed true, I have met one slut in the course of my lifetime who loves having sex with virgins and she likes taking people's virginities. I've met one. Just one. Only one. So there is actually a basis as to why some men are insecure about that whole promiscuity thing.
Parents, would you think less of a daughter if she was over the age of consent but had lots of sexual partners?
No. Quite honestly, I would think less of myself because I would feel as if I failed her somehow. I would wonder, what the bloody hell did I do? Or why in the hell does she feel that she needs to have so much sex with all these different guys? I don't know. I'd be sad. Or maybe I didn't fail, but I would feel like I did.
Why? Is that just the way you were raised?
No, I would have to wonder whether or not she feels hungry for male attention and I didn't provide for her, or I would have to seriously question why she feels that way. And that's why I'd be sad. I'd be disappointed with myself. Not really her.
Is that a good enough reason? Number 3. Promiscuity is bad because God says so. Alright, if a God exists, and if it doesn't want you to be promiscuous, and if its preferences align with morality, then that would be a good moral reason to keep it in your pants. You see all these ifs, though. A lot of people do assume these things to be true without question, and religion probably contributes to a lot of people's tying together of sexuality and morality, but part of philosophy is challenging commonly held assumptions, and that argument has a lot of them, and you're going to have to do a lot of work to show that they're all true before the argument is going to fly.
Again, I don't really see very many people argue from a moral point of view anyway, so he's got it.
Number 4. Promiscuous people need to have more respect for themselves. Like, a little bit of sex is okay, but too much and you're disrespecting yourself. Like, your body is a commodity, and the more you flood the market with you, the less valuable you become. This is a pervasive idea, and here's just one example.
Your body is a wonderland, but you know what? It's your choice if you want Wonderland to be an exclusive club like VIP, you gotta wait in line forever to get into the club, or if you want Wonderland to be like a theme park where kids get in for free on Saturdays with a canned good.
This argument says sex is a vice. It says it's bad in a small way, but if you keep it limited, it's alright. Like drinking. But why is sex bad? Sex is awesome as long as it's consensual. What's bad about it?
Now, see, this is the problem that you had with the first argument, and that you are conflating. Now you're conflating sex for promiscuity. These people are not arguing that having sex is bad. These people are arguing that having sex with a bunch of people you don't know, or having sex with a bunch of people who will be terrible fathers to your children, or terrible mothers to your children, is a bad thing. Or having sex with people you don't know. So that's what they're arguing, that promiscuity and abundance is bad. They're not arguing that the thing itself is bad, considering the fact that we all exist because of the thing itself.
This argument implicitly assumes that lots of sex is bad, but that is the very idea that we are questioning.
Yeah, and you have missed the mark several times.
Yeah. It also totally ignores that people's bodies are theirs to do with what they please.
Not really. It completely understands that people's bodies are there to do what they please, and it is a clear indicator that they don't value themselves all too much if they're willing to give their body to someone who just says, hey, I love you, or give their bodies up to someone they just met. Here's something interesting that I want to pose to most people. Would you tell a secret to a perfect stranger? Most people would say no. So then why would you do the most intimate thing you could possibly do with another human being with an intimate stranger? I don't know, that's my question to the audience here.
Hooking up with a lot of dudes doesn't make you cool. Hooking up with one dude that you care about and know and have strong feelings for makes you cool.
No. You know what isn't cool? Telling people that what they do with their bodies is anybody's business but theirs.
I hear lots of people say that all the time, and that is complete and utter foolishness. The things that you do with other people absolutely have an effect on other people down the road. If someone gets pregnant and has a baby, they have an effect on everybody else. The only time two people can have sex that doesn't have an effect on everyone else is if they don't produce a child. And even then, that still just isn't true, because the next person that they're going to have sex with is affected by that other person's sexual history, whether you want to admit it or not. Sorry, that's just the way it is. Sex is the closest thing you do with another human being, and it's complete utter foolishness to act as if it is simply just something you can do with someone and there won't be any effects to it.
What doesn't make you cool is encouraging people to abandon autonomy in favour of traditional views of sexuality.
See, they're not actually abandoning autonomy at all. They're just choosing not to have sex with people that they just meet. Instead, they're choosing to have sex with people that they know intimately, people that they really like and care about. That is autonomy, dumbass.
And as an added bonus, saying that people who have lots of sex with multiple partners have some kind of personality weakness or lack of respect for themselves is a little bit patronising.
Perhaps. However, truth is truth, so sorry. And I think that's a pretty good place to stop because of time restraint. So, join me as I tackle the second half of his video sometime in the future. With that being said, I certainly hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And if you did, man, go ahead and click that like button. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comments below. And as always, have a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.